What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to do something a little different. We're talking about a current game, in fact, a game that's not out yet. Now, it wouldn't be Podcast Now, Back to the Past if that was the case, if it was only the case, but this game is special, and it's maybe not special for the quality. We'll find out very, very soon, how this game does and how much we like it, but it's special because of how long this game has existed. This game has been in development for 11 years and has had quite the journey. And I want to talk about that journey in this video. So we're talking about Skull and Bones today, ladies and gentlemen. It comes out this week. In fact, I believe you might even be able to play it yesterday, today with the deluxe edition. So depending on when you're watching it, depending on how much you're willing to fork over for, ladies and gentlemen, one of the first quadruple A games on the planet. You heard it right. They just said that actually recently last week. Quadruple A game. It deserves to be $70 and it deserves to have the microtransactions and the live service stuff attached. That's what Ubisoft CEO said. That's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with Skull and Bones. So, look, I make a lot of jokes. Honestly, we've talked about it because it is like an actual game coming out soon. So I've made plenty of videos even on Podcast Now. This is a game I am excited for just in the sense that I want to see what happened. I want to see the finished product, and I'm so interested in it because of how long it's existed. That is the primary thing. And I think people are actually pretty understanding, as I've explained that, before, where, it might be good. It might be good. And I hope it's good. I tend to go into games with an open mind. I really try to give games the benefit of the doubt and let them sink or swim, no pun intended in this case here, but really sink or swim based off the game itself, not necessarily a lot of the drama that's hit it beforehand. Now, that doesn't help, but I really try to give a lot of games chances, and I hope this game is good. I'm not expecting it to be good, quite honestly, but I just want to see after this game has been around for so long, and, like I said in the beginning of this video, so it started in 2013. It started as DLC for Black Flag, which I'm sure, will come in and out of this discussion in this video because this game, to me, is almost not I don't really want to say discount version because, quite honestly, I haven't done any of the alphas. I haven't played any of the betas. I'm getting this game, and I want to go in completely in the dark. I've seen stuff on this game, but I've never played it. I've been offered opportunities to play it. There was the open beta this last weekend where anybody that wanted to could play it. I purposely didn't do it because I want to play this finished product and just see at the end of the day, even though I guess the open beta is kind of the finished product at this point, I want to see what this thing does because it is so fascinating and it's so in my lane. Like, I'm a big Pirates of the Caribbean guy, the film franchise, and I want a game like this, but I kind of wanted more. I really wanted almost technically a Black Flag type thing. So, starts in 2013, originally going to be DLC to Black Flag, which, at this point really might be the ultimate Pirates game. Now, I've always pitched like a Pirates open world RPG, a Witcher-like Pirates game, which I do not think we've had. I think Black Flag does a very good job, and it mixes the Assassin's Creed formula with the ship battles, which I think it does it really, really well, and I think even the physics of the water, the look of the water, the storms that can happen, all of that stuff, I think it holds up actually really, really well. In fact, I just played, I think, last year, and I think it still holds up really well. So, that's kind of what I want, but I kind of just want, one tier up from that, a Witcher style, like a legendary kind of RPG that does, Pirates of the Caribbean or Pirates. So, starts in 2013, and we first saw it in 2017. Now, that's really where my, story began. I started my first YouTube channel Podcast Now in 2015. So I started to cover like the E3s of the world. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really know what to even like look out for. And I remember E3 2017 seeing this game, and they got me immediately with, just because of the ship stuff. And I think Black Flag, I wasn't even a big fan of Black Flag. Like, I liked the ship stuff, but I didn't really like anything else. And I have now appreciated the rest of it, even though the ship stuff I think is the best part. And then it immediately, I would say, sank itself, right? So we actually got in back-to-back years. We saw it at E3 2017, and we saw it in E3 2018. We even got, like, a Kraken tease, which I don't know if the Kraken is even... I know there's, like, I think there's, like, sea monsters, but I don't know, like, is the Kraken still in this game? Because it was teased, like, 6 years ago, and I don't know, if things have shifted, but that's kind of the point, right? So it gets revealed, it gets shown off the year following, and then we start to just hear about it. And I don't think we heard too much in 2017, but 2018 when we saw it again, I think both those trailers, by the way, and I'm sure you're seeing them as the video goes, they're really good trailers. Like, I think they do an excellent job, and, you know, they capture that Pirates kind of theme. And then we started to hear about the game. And this is really where the game fell apart in terms of, like, public opinion, right? Because one of the first things we heard, and I remember covering it, is it's just the ships. There's no, and this was like an early thing we had heard, there's no boarding. You can literally, when you board, you cannot actually take your character, play, sword fight, you know, take out, say, the other ship's captain or whatever. You cannot do that. It's an animation. It's just something that happens. That was one of the first things I remember hearing about this game, and it all fell apart from there, right? And now, you know, as we've seen throughout this, through these years, and this is part of why I wanted to make this video of looking back. Really, this is looking back at just a weird tale. This game went under so many different, you know, revises, and just it never really, I guess it had a central idea, but it jumped around. The setting of this game jumped around like 3 times. The basic theme of like what you're going to do. Now, ship combat was always important, but was it going to be more like Sea of Thieves? I know I saw like reports of like Rust was at one point kind of a spiritual kind of idea they had like on land. And what we have now from everything that we've kind of seen is it does seem, you know, very much on land, but you're going around, you're getting the contracts, you get back on the ship, and you know, do the quests and come back. That's the kind of game that this is. But the game never really had a strong grasp of, I guess, identity beyond it being the ship part, the pirate part of Black Flag. And that begs the question, and we've actually had rumors of this that do seem pretty real at this point. They're actually going to make a Black Flag remake after this. So Skull and Bones will come out, and then this Singapore team is moving on to a Black Flag remake. So it begs the question, well, why don't you just remake Black Flag? Why don't you make a Black Flag 2? Why don't you just make that kind of Pirates game? If that, you know what I mean? Like, if that's your central thing, and then you kind of just take a hard left, why are you even going that way? But one of the things that really also started to appear as the years went on, well, there was rumors of it getting canceled, and many directors left. Like, it shifted directors, I think, more than 2 or 3 times. The cancelizations, like, those were all kind of rumors, right? But the rumors were it was canceled and rebooted about 2 or 3 times as well. So the game kind of died. It was brought back to life. It was reworked. You had people kind of going in and out. There have been numerous reports on that Singapore team of how they manage staff and how they treat staff and just the slow nature of this game. Again, and I actually did not know before I looked it up. Like, okay, I remember 2017 is when we saw the first trailer, right? I did not know when this game started. Okay, so 2013, it started 11 years ago. This has got to be, and this is actually kind of why I think this game is a little special. Maybe another reason why I am going to play it. This is one of those games that have been around forever and actually makes it out. Now, does it make it out in the greatest condition? We'll find out. But actually another Ubisoft title, and like Beyond Good and Evil 2. That game's been around for like 15 plus years. Nothing, right? You had like the Duke Nukems of the world. That was kind of a different era, you know, 10 plus years ago. But that came out. That finally did come out. But you have all of these games or games that you hear about that were in the works for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And some of them, actually quite a few of them, just end up getting dropped. Or you have like the Bullies of the world, Bully 2, which is in the works, and they drop it. And then they pick it back up, work on it for 2 years, and drop it. You know, again, like it or hate it, and maybe that's actually like an envious, like, you know, a jealousy kind of thing. This game's around for 11 years. It was in development longer than a Bully 2. It made it to release versus a lot of these games that end up getting canceled. Now, why? Well, a lot of reporting has actually come down to the Singapore government. This is my favorite story about Skull and Bones. So the reports are, and I don't even know if it's a report or if it's just like outright confirmation, there's a deal between Ubisoft and the government, you know, Singapore, a contract, you know, maybe like tax incentives, whatever. And I believe if they were to cancel the game, they would be in major legal trouble with a government entity, hence why they haven't really canceled it. Because, you know, for everything that I just said, it is a rarity. It is a rarity for a game to be around and be in active development. Like, yeah, maybe they put the game down for a few months. Maybe. We don't actually even know that. For all we know, they've been tinkering and, yeah, maybe reworking stuff. But they've been working on this thing for 11 years straight. And the amount of games that do that and then actually release are almost zero. Most games just dropped. Maybe they get picked up, years and years later, but they get dropped. No game really makes it through this kind of stuff. And that's what saying it again, I find that super interesting about this game, where it's not even on the game itself. I don't know how much potential Ubisoft has actually seen in it. We'll find out, right? What do they actually expect it to do versus what it does? But beyond all that, beyond expectations, it might still be coming out. It might still have been in the works for all this time, simply because they couldn't not have done it. Like, if they stopped, they would be in so much trouble that it's not worth it. You might as well just keep the ship going and see what the final product is. And that is just such an interesting, I think, tale about Skull and Bones. So it's nuts. I mean, this is a game genuinely, and you can... I don't know if you can actually watch it. I think the videos are still up, but 2017, 2018, June, of those years, I remember making videos, and I remember Skull and Bones being a thing I was genuinely excited for. And I remember the turn. And again, I remember the turn, I think it was 2018, like almost, you show it off a year later, show off again, and then immediately. And I think 2018 was gameplay too. It was a trailer, and then they also maybe, you know what? It could have been 2017. One of the years, IGN did like a 20-minute kind of segment, with the game. So that year kind of showed you a little bit, and you kind of got a basic sense. And then, like, the reports started coming out of, well, why didn't we see, like, sword fighting? Like, is that in the game? And it's not. And it's like, what kind of blunder? You know what I mean? Like, the shock, and I remember the shock hitting me, where it's like, yeah, I don't see it. And then, oh my God, they say that it's not in the game. So this is just a shell of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And again, that's just part of the story. The length of how long this game has been around, when they started development, the fact that maybe it's been canceled a few times. We know that leads have left and come in and out multiple times. So that part is definitely true, right? Which does mean the project had problems, right? If you have the leads of the studio, whether they're fired or they quit and they have to be replaced and people have to come in, if that happens, then the game itself obviously has issues, because you don't replace the top people if the game is completely fine. Nothing's wrong with it. So this has just been a game that's had so many up and down things, and it's never really had like overwhelming support. That's another thing. For as much as I bag on it, I do, again, like I try to keep an optimistic, or at least like an idea that it could be good, right? Just even that one strand of hope that maybe this game actually lands. I still have that. But, like, again, another interesting thing with this game is it doesn't really have that for most people. Like, this game, truthfully, this game is kind of a laughingstock. And I think in a lot of ways, like, well, you see the history of how this game has gone, like, does it deserve to be, like, highly respected? Not really. It hasn't really, like, earned that right, you know what I mean? So that's just another part of it, is it's a game that's finally coming out after so long, but it's not the most sought-after title. It's a live service game that's also costing $70, and that's making a lot, and I think maybe rightfully so, it's making a lot of people mad. This is just a game that has a lot of baggage and doesn't have universal love, but it's coming out after a more than 10-year, development cycle. So again, this is really one of the only games I think we could do something like this on this channel, because every game takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but like this game, over a decade. There's so much with the past, even though it's a current game, you can still talk about, the journey we've had. It's one of the only ones, again, for the reason that most of these games don't see the light of day. You can talk about a Bully 2, and you can only talk about the past because there is no present, because the game's dead. But a game like this, there's actually, miraculously, somehow, there's both. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you care, again, I know we're on this channel. Podcast now is going to be covering it. I'm excited for this game again in some ways. But let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icons turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.